Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's webinar. This morning, we're going to be looking at the company archive feature. Now, this tends to be a quick learn, so we should take around 30 minutes to cover the content on today's session. Now, just before we begin, we're going to be talking about Company Archive, but it does tie in very nicely to our topic that we're running tomorrow at the same time. So just want to give you the opportunity to get registered for that session, and I have popped a link in the chat for that, and that is Clear Audit Trail. So you are going to hear us refer to Clear Audit Trail a lot today. So if you're not sure what that is and you want to find out a little bit more, there is a link in the chat for you to register for that session. So we've got one at 11 o'clock tomorrow. I think we do have additional sessions available on that one too. So please do take a look at that one and get yourself registered if you want to find out more. In addition, we've got some other webinars that I will talk to you at the end of the session as well. So we've got lots of other topics coming up too. But first of all, let's just do some housekeeping first of all. So first of all, you will notice that you have been placed on mute. So you can't speak to me directly today, but if you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to submit your questions across to us using the questions panel. So you can access that by using the icon that looks like a speech bubble with the question mark in the middle, and you can send your questions across to myself and also to Michael, who's on hand in the background for any questions you may have. Don't feel you need to wait till the end of the session. You can submit them throughout. We'd hate for you to forget your pressing questions, so please do get them across to us. Where possible as well, we will try and do some demonstrations to highlight your question too. We also have a handout for today's session, so if you do want to take a copy of today's slides, then you can do so using the icon that looks like the document with the folded corner, and that has a copy of today's slides. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover. So first of all, we're going to talk about what is an archive. Then we're going to show you how to take an archive, then how to access an archive. And we're going to try and really clear up the difference between an archive, a backup, and a clear audit trail, because those are three terms that quite often get used in the sort of wrong context. So we're just really try and clear that up for you. We'll also cover some frequently asked questions today. Come back with a summary, and that's where we will cover any outstanding questions, and we want to show you some of the upcoming topics for our webinars as well. Okay, so the first topic today is what is a company archive? Okay, and this is where we do get a lot of confusion. So an archive of your data is actually a read-only copy of your data, and it's taken at that point in time that you click to make an archive. Now that might be at year end, it's part of the year end process by default, but you can take an archive at any time, which we'll show you today. So really this read-only copy is a snapshot of your data at that point in time when you click the button. It includes any existing logon details. So when you take an archive, it also takes a copy of those login details at that point in time. So that's something that's key to note. If you're using or accessing an archive from a few years ago, it will have the existing login details of that time. Now that shouldn't cause you an issue. If it does, then you can speak to our technical support teams and we'll be able to support you with that. Now, when you access an archive, you can't add anything to the archive. It is a read-only copy, so you can't add any transactions, but you can edit or remove certain elements of records for GDPR purposes. So things like contact names, etc. But you can't do anything transactionally. And you do also need to have the right permission level. So when you log in with your user on your day-to-day user, that needs to have the right access level to access the archive. So why would you need an archive? So it provides you with access to historical data. Okay, and it allows you to access those figures, those records, and you can also run reports. This is why it's a really key task to do when you do your year end. Because what it allows you to do is go back into a previous financial year and run your reports on that data from that financial year. Now, what an archive does not do, and this is where there is a lot of confusion, is it won't remove transactions from your software. That is an additional step, and that is the clear audit trail that I mentioned earlier on. So the archive is normally taken as step one. If you want to start removing data, because for example, your data might be particularly large, then you would start with a clear audit trail. And from there, you can start to remove old customers, suppliers, and records. An archive file is saved within your data path. So this is a really key question we get asked a lot as well, is can I save it in a different location? So it is actually saved alongside your live data. And again, I will demonstrate this for you. And the final one there is you need to have access to the software to view an archive. Okay, so if you were finishing your journey with Sage and moving either to another provider or your business is closing down, if you want to access that archive data at any time, you will still need access to the software to get to that data. Okay, so hopefully that's clarified what an archive is. What I'm going to do next is show you actually how to take an archive. So I'm actually going to jump onto demonstration now at this point. I'm going to pop into my data set here. So we recommend that you take an archive before any sort of big step in your data. So if you're going to be removing large amounts of data, so running a clear audit trail, for example, we recommend to take the archive first. I also mentioned earlier that it will be taken as part of the year-end process. So by default, that is ticked. So I just want to show you that one first. So I am going to go into the year-end window. I'm just going to go into Tools, Period End, and then Year-End. And that just takes me into the year-end wizard, this one here. So I'm not going to actually run the year end. What you might notice is I'm actually a year ahead at the moment because I have run a year end this morning. So I'm currently in January 2025 and I did take an archive at that point in time. But I just want to show you that when I come to do my next year end, which will be at the end of December 2025, that when we come to step 3 here, we have the option to archive your data, and by default that is ticked. Okay, so the software will try to do it for you. If you untick it, obviously it won't do that archive for you, but we do recommend to leave that tick in there. We can have a look at the archive location. So if I click this one here, it just opens up the window. And as I mentioned earlier, you can't choose where to save that. It will save it alongside your data. So my data is sitting in company 002, so it creates an archive folder within there. But what we could do is we could change the description and also the archive folder name. I'm going to leave them be for the moment. I'm not going to actually run that at the moment because that's how you would do it during a year end. However, you might not find that you want to do things like your clear audit trail at year end. You might just be happy that you got through the year end, want to give yourself a break before you do any of the tidy up routine. So it might be, you know, a few months down the line before you start clearing out data. So you might want to do an archive in the middle of a financial year. So to do that, we go back into Tools and we go into Period End again. And within here, just after year end, you have the option to archive company. And this window just looks very similar to what we saw earlier. But this time, the description has got the word mid-year rather than year end. And it's giving me an archive folder, which is the year, it's mid-year, today's date, and the rough time. Okay, so this is what we'll save when we save this archive, and I am going to save this one now so that we can show you that one being taken. So I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to leave everything as it is for the time being. Obviously, this is amendable, so if you do want to change the details on there, you can do so. So I'm going to click on OK. And it's saying the archive has been completed. So bear in mind, yours might take a little bit longer if you've got a larger data set, because mine's quite a small data set today. So really at this point, you can't really see that an archive has taken place. Where we would access the archive and look at which archives we've got available to us is through the File option, into Open, and in here we've got the option for Company Archive. So if I select this, what this does, gives me a window a little bit similar to a company selection window. It gives me access to all of my previous archives that I've taken. So you can see that when I did my 2024 year end, which I did earlier today just to create that archive for you, we've got the archive there from that year end process. It's got the folder name and it shows you when that archive was taken. We've also got the mid-year one that I've just taken now, and you can see that's located in here. So essentially here, it's a little bit like a company selection window. We select which archive we wish to access. So I'm going to click on open. And it will ask me for the password that was applied at the time we took that archive. So let's hope I can remember 5 minutes ago. There we go. That's allowed me in. Like I say, if you're not sure on that, you can have a go, you can have a try on it. If not, speak to our team and they will be able to arrange some form of decode on there, providing you meet certain security requirements. Now, you might not have noticed much has changed, but we are in fact in the archive data now, and I can tell that from the top. Okay, so at the top, we've got the company name, but then we've got the word archive, okay, and it's showing me I'm in my mid-year archive. So you can see there, it's very similar to your company data. It looks exactly the same, just this subtle change at the top here. And what I can do from here is I can go into my nominal codes, can pop into things like my trial balance, and it'll let me run reports as though it was my live data. So I'm just going to run to preview and just criteria as usual there. What I can't do though is if I go into, for example, customers, into batch invoice, is I can't start adding transactions to that. So it will prevent me from adding anything transactional into the software. For GDPR purposes though, you might have a customer who's asked to be forgotten and they want to exercise their right to be forgotten. What you can do is you can go into a record. Apologies, I'm just getting a new newly built laptop, so things are opening on different windows, so apologies for that. But what you can do is you can amend contact information and take details out in that way and save that. So you can remove data if it's just information only, but you can't add or remove anything transactional in the software. Okay, keep your questions coming, just a few trickling through at the moment, but Michael is on hand, so please do get your questions across to us there. So I'm just going to pop back onto our slides there. So we recommend doing an archive at year end just as a matter of course because it's automatically set up for you, and it means when you come to do your year end, when you move into the new financial year, you don't lose your ability to run your reports into a previous financial year, particularly those management reports that are based on your current financial year in the software. But also before any significant changes, like things like a clear audit trail, clearing out older stock products, etc. Okay, so we're just going to look at some frequently asked questions now around the company archive. So the first one there is, once you've archived, can you then delete old records you no longer use, such as customers, suppliers, or nominals? So this is a really confusing one, okay? Yes, you can start removing records, but you might not be able to remove them just yet, okay? It's probably pinned on you doing that clear audit trail first, okay? There's a really good question there around, is there a particular advantage to taking archives as opposed to backups at significant periods? So that's a really good question, and it's probably to do with the way you access the data. So we would always recommend you take a backup as well as an archive, particularly at your year end. The issue with a backup is that you need to restore it somewhere. Okay, so you need to find somewhere to restore that backup, whereas the archive is always there. So when you restore a backup, if you're on version 20, I think it's version 30.0 and below, you do actually need to restore that into a live company. And there is risk there because you're going to be restoring potentially over your live data. So it means you need to take a backup first before restoring a backup. And that can make people a bit nervous. Okay, it used to make me nervous when I first started with Sage. Whereas an archive means you don't need to restore over data, it's just always there. Now in version 30.1 that has changed slightly because we do have a new feature which allows you to restore into practice data. Okay, so you do have an alternative option. You could use the archive or you could restore your backup into practice data. It will allow you to run your reports, but then it will clear once you close out practice data, so it doesn't hold that information for you. So my recommendation would be to take both, give yourself options. Okay, so if you do need to go back into previous years, you've got options for doing that. The next question there is, do I have to specify a date to run an archive? So not with an archive, okay? When you take an archive, it takes the snapshot of the data there and then at the point you click archive. When you run a clear audit trail, that is the process of removing transactions, and that one will ask you a date you want to clear up to, okay? So if you just want to keep the last 2 years and you've got, say, for example, 8 years prior to that you want to remove, you can specify the date for that. And the last one is, how is this effective if I stop using Sage? So I think that's come through with a similar question there from you, Terry. So you do need to have a Sage software installed to access the archive, okay? Similar with a backup, but with a backup, at least you could probably send that to your accountant who could maybe support you with that. If you're going to be leaving Sage and you're going to be losing your license with us, then we do recommend exporting all of your reports prior to ending your time with Sage. Another quick question there is, if you've not done any archiving in previous years, can you select a year older than the previous year? So when you take that archive, it will take absolutely everything that's in your data at that point in time. So we can't ask it to go back and archive for 2022, but it will include 2022 data if it's in your live data at that point in time. I hope that helps answer it. And this is where a lot of the confusion comes around what an archive is and what an archive does. So I am just going to go through those again. So the question that came through earlier from Tariq there was the difference between an archive and a backup. So really, that's why we've done the slide, is because it's a really common question here. So the archive is read-only and it can be opened like a separate company. It doesn't impact your live data. Whereas restoring a backup needs to be restored into somewhere, okay? And previously on older versions, that was over live data essentially, okay? And it just adds that element of risk. The difference between archive and clear audit trail is archive takes a snapshot of the data. Clear audit trail is the process of removing all the data. And that's where you specify a date range and it will remove transactions up to that date range and reduce the size of your data. So it should make your processing a little bit more efficient in the software. Okay, so this is your opportunity to get your questions across to us. I'm going to just try and summarize what we've gone through there. We've got lots of links in the handout, so if you do want to take a copy of the handout as well, now is a great opportunity for you to take the copy of the handout with those links. All of these on the side are links to our help articles. Okay, another question there. Again, if I archive data, does it only leave my live year to look at? Nope, the archive takes the snapshot of the data. The clear audit trail is where you would remove data and you specify the date to clear up to. So it won't take any data out of your software at all. Okay, so Michael's still on the questions. Please do get them across, and if we can clarify anything for you, we will do. Okay, so archiving the data, it will create that read-only copy of your data, and it includes all historical data and also your current information up to the point that you click to archive. Doing an archive does not remove any transactions. That is a separate process of a clear audit trail. And the link for that is in the chat there. So if you just check out the chat window, there's a link to that session tomorrow. You can take an archive at any time, okay? So it's up to you when you take an archive, but it's typically done as part of the year-end process. So that's the auto year-end archive, and that can be accessed in exactly the same way through File and Open Company Archive. And before any big routines, so things like a clear audit trail, removing some of the data from your software. Remember, you'll need the same credentials that were used when you created the archive, and it lets you view the data, and you can't add any transactions, but you can remove data from records, and you can also run reports into your previous financial year. Okay, so keep the questions coming. There's a few just coming across there now, which is great. So again, just another request for the link to the audit trail session. So I'm just reminding you there, it's in the chat. So if you can't find the chat option there, it's available in there, but I am also going to show you where you can find the upcoming webinars on our webpage as well. Okay, so we'll keep the questions coming, keep Michael busy in the background, and let's just have a look at what we've got coming up in terms of our webinars. So if you go to sage.co.uk/webinars, it will take you to our webinar page. I'm just going to show you this one here. I'm going to bring this one across. And this is where you can find all of our live webinars, but also our recordings. So if you have missed a topic and you'd like to catch up in your own time, at a time that suits you, then we do have an option for the recordings here, so you can access those there. In the live session here, we've got all of our upcoming webinars. Just wait for this one to load. So if you scroll down, just past this part here about International Accounting Day, which I will talk to you in just a moment about, you can see the link to our company archive session. So when you click on register, it will give you any available dates that we've got there. There is a recording, so if you can't make tomorrow's session, don't worry, there is a recording on the recordings page, so do check that one out. We've run that one a lot. It's one of our most popular topics. It looks as though it's on the 23rd as well, actually. There you go. It's on the 23rd. So if you, oh, that's tomorrow. Sorry, I'm losing track of time. Losing track of time this month. We've got the VAT return. Part 2 is tomorrow afternoon. And we've got 2FA as well, which is something that's going to be coming in November. But lots of topics available. As you can see, as you scroll through, we've got lots of sessions available over the next few weeks. And we've just finished scheduling up to the end of December, so they should be available soon. Okay, now I did just want to talk to you about our upcoming webinars for International Accounting Day. So starting on the 5th of November, we are going to be doing a series of webinars for International Accounting Day, which is on the 10th of November. Now we're doing a series of 5 quick learns, okay? So if you attend 4 out of the 5 quick learns and our quiz, so you do need to attend the quiz, it is a mandatory quiz, then you can earn your Smart Accounting badge. So I've got a quick video to show you on this one. I'm just going to leave that running. While you're watching this, please do keep your questions coming across and we'll get as many answered as possible for you. Mark your calendars for International Accounting Day on November the 10th, 2024. From the 5th of November to the 12th, join us for a week of exclusive quick learns packed with time-saving tips you can't afford to miss. Attend at least 4 out of the 5 webinars and ace our International Accounting Day quiz to earn our 2024 digital badge.
Kick off your journey with our first webinar, Getting Paid Time-Saving Opportunities. Join us as we unveil some game-changing tips and showcase powerful features designed to ensure you get paid swiftly and on time. Don't miss out on this opportunity to streamline your payment process and boost your efficiency.
Up next, work smart, automating everyday transactions. Join Abby as she dives into the world of automation, showing you how to effortlessly handle those recurring transactions and cut down on manual data entry.
Don't miss out on Wednesday's session, Reporting Made Easy. Join Michael as he reveals the secrets to optimizing your reporting processes. Discover how to find the perfect report for your needs and learn to run multiple reports simultaneously. A fantastic time saver.
Following that, don't miss quick tips to protect your data. Jackie will be sharing essential tips on safeguarding your data, scheduling backups, and using tools to access historic data risk-free. Equip yourself with the knowledge to keep your data secure and your mind at ease.
We round off the week with a bang in our Shortcuts for Success session. The team have compiled their favourite must-have features to help you make the most of your software. We'll share valuable insights and top tips on real-life quick fixes that will elevate your efficiency and productivity. Don't miss out on these game-changing shortcuts.
Finally, put your accounts knowledge to the test with International Accounting Day, the quiz. Each round will be themed around the topics we've covered throughout the week's sessions. It's the perfect way to celebrate International Accounting Day with Sage. Challenge yourself, have fun, and see how much you've learned to earn your digital badge.
Let's celebrate International Accounting Day in style. To secure your spot, head to sage.co.uk/webinars to get registered. We'll see you there.
Okay, so that was just a quick video about the International Accounting Day sessions. So if you do want to get yourself registered for those, you can find them on our webinar page, but we also do have a dedicated link, which I'm just going to grab for you there, so I can pop that also in the chat for you. So I'm just grabbing that now, and I'll just copy that in for you. Okay, now in addition, I just wanted to show you one final webinar that we've got coming up over the next few weeks, and this is on the 6th of November, and it's something different. What we've got are some HR advice webinars, and we're teaming up with some of our colleagues that are at Advisor Plus, and we're going through different topics each month. So in November, we're going to be looking at how to address performance issues in the first 2 years of employment. So this is just slightly different, taking you away from accounts. It might be that you have to dip your toe into HR every now and then. These sessions have been really interesting. We've got a great Christmas one coming up soon as well. So if you want to register for that one, again, we'll have a link in the chat there for you as well. So I'm just going to pop those links into the chat. Now, final call for any questions. So if you do have any further questions, please do get those across to us and we'll get those answered for you. Just popping in the International Accounting Day link as well there. So this is the last one that we're sending across there into the chat. So again, if you want to register for any of those, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay, so I think at the moment we are currently on top of all the questions there. I'm just going to pop my screen back on for you there, so you can see the links there to the HR advice webinars, and you can see some of the previous topics that we've covered as well there, so you can watch those recordings if you've missed them. Okay, so I think we'll just pop ourselves on mute for just a moment or two. Like I say, we knew would probably take to about past this morning. So we'll pop ourselves on mute just in case there's any final questions. If you are leaving, thank you very much for joining us. We hope you will join us on another session very soon. But in the meantime, take care. But we'll be back just before we end the session. Okay, I think that's most of the questions answered there. So thank you very much to Michael, and thank you again everyone for joining us, and take care, and we will see you again really soon. Bye for now.